Roll call. We're here for Education, Environment, Sustainability Committee meeting Wednesday, October 4th. And can we have a roll call, Madam Clerk?
Calling the roll, Ms. Simon.
Here.
Ms. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Schrein. Mr. Schrein is absent. Mr. Brady. Mr. Brady is absent. There is a quorum.
Thank you so much. And we have minutes from September 20th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from our September 20th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes approved. Any public related to the agenda?
No, Madam
Oh, I
Chair.
went out of order. Okay, matter referred to committee. First is the sustainability plan. Do you want to start, Mr. Foley, Director Foley?
Resolution number 2017-0168, adopting the 2017 County Sustainability Plan in accordance with Section 202.18 of the County Code.
Hello, Director.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Councilwoman Simon and the committee for allowing us to. There we go. Thanks for allowing us to talk about our proposed sustainability plan. Last year, Councilman Miller passed legislation requesting the department to put together a 5-year sustainability plan from 2018 to 2022. So we have worked over the last 6 to 8 months trying to think through, what makes sense for our department, what makes sense for the county in terms of environmental sustainability matters. Just a little bit of brief background. The department's been around for about 2.5 years. I was appointed by Executive Budish as the first director. Chanel Smith was the deputy director. Chanel was here till mid-May, and then she got offered this great job to become the director of the Trust for Public Land. And so she left the department in May and became the director of Trust for Public Land. Since that time, I've also, just in terms of staffing, we have picked up 2 new people. David Nader, who is here, is working, going to be helping us do outreach, and Stephanie Choi, who is a public policy fellow from the Cleveland Foundation. So the Cleveland Foundation has given us money to help to pay for her salary and time for the department. I want to talk just briefly about kind of some of the stuff we've worked on over the last 2 years. I think we've been successful in some endeavors. We helped launch the UH Bikes, so the bike sharing system. So we've got 29 stations throughout downtown University Circle, Tremont, and near West Side with 250 bikes. And we currently have a proposal to double that for NOACA right now. And the city of Cleveland is actually going to be putting some money in, we think, as well, so to expand the system.
But Mr. Foley, can you just explain a little bit how that works?
Bike sharing?
Bike sharing.
So it's the red bikes, the UH Bikes system. So, it's people can, get on your phone, you have a smartphone, you can get on, you can ride the bike for, 30 minutes, and it'll cost you $3, basically. I have a monthly fee. It's $15 a month for a month, and I can ride it for an hour a day for free. Basically, it's a way to ride from station to station to station and go to meetings, go to events. A lot of people use them on the weekends for running around downtown.
How's it going? Is it...
It's going great. It's financially solvent. It's doing well. They're making money. We just passed over 2 million calories burned on the system. So they can track where bikes go, how many rides have been used, how much, obviously calories have been burned. It's actually working pretty well. So it's been a successful system. It's one of the, I think, It's got GPS systems in each bike, so none of the bikes are lost or missing. I think right now, it's seen as a very successful system. So, and we want to expand it, and we want to expand it, especially just out of downtown and University Circle. So
Where are the bikes located?
we've got some right outside the front door, so the red bikes that are on the. So there's 29 physical stations, and then there's some virtual stations where you can just ride your bike and lock it up to a bike rack. So, and there's a couple virtual stations, but we really do want to expand it. So there's just, kind of the first iteration was where there's a population centers and work centers, so University Circle and downtown, but we want to expand it out into neighborhoods and into some of the suburbs as well. So,
Madam President, what is the cost?
The cost, so the first iteration of that was about $400,000. We got money from NOACA, and We had to put in about an $80,000 match, so Bike Cleveland helped us raise money locally for a match. The next iteration, we're going for about a $300,000 second round of funding from NOACA, and the City of Cleveland, I just talked to the City of Cleveland, they're willing to put in almost a one-to-one match, so close to $250,000 they're thinking about adding into the system. So it could expand the system pretty dramatically.
Thank you for that. What is the cost to the individual who wants to ride the bike?
Yeah, so it's $3 for half hour, it's $6 an hour, basically. So is it, I think, either 6 or 7, I forget the number, but I do it on a monthly basis. So it's $15 a day or a month for me, and then I can ride for an hour for free every day. And then if you go over your hour time limit, then it's like a small, maybe $1 every 30 minutes above that, something like that.
Who is the owner of the company?
So we contracted with a company called Cycle Hops. They're out of Phoenix, I believe, and so they run a number of national. They've got maybe 11 systems: Hamilton, Vancouver, Phoenix, Atlanta, I think. So they've got a number of systems that they operate the bike sharing systems in.
Okay, thank you.
Just the one question as it relates, you said they have other operating systems. UH is local, so is that a advertising mechanism that they've purchased, and how long is that contract, and do you know what that dollar amount is for?
Yeah, it's a 3-year contract for $250,000 a year. Okay. So the kind of the model is that government purchases equipment or tries to purchase equipment, and then the operating fees and the advertising fees go to kind of subsidize the operations or work the operations out. So we try to get the capital, and then the riderships and advertising covers operations. So it's worked well. So that's one thing. We helped organize the solar co-op last year. So we had 40 homes in the county put up solar panels on their rooftops. It was over $500,000 of solar panels that people put up. It accounted for over 15,000 hours of work, so which is equivalent to like 7.5 jobs that were created to go put solar panels on roofs. And I forget the amount of greenhouse gases it reduced, but it did a lot in terms of greenhouse. And we want to so that was kind of the first time we tested this out, and we're going to do it again. We want to do another iteration of this, hopefully coming up in November.
Madam Chair? Yes. Yeah. The 40 homes, where were they located?
They were all over the county. I don't have the map. I can get you a map and tell you where they're at. But they were dispersed pretty geographically throughout the county, city, county, city, suburbs. So I'll get you a map of where those were at. So.
And of these 40 homes, does it reduce their costs, or is it more expensive?
So you think about. So I did it on my home. It cost $10,000 for 12 solar panels. We used the county loan program, so the county help program, and to help borrow money to pay for this. So the payback is about 7 or 8 years. It cost us $10,000 for those 12 panels. It reduced our electricity bill by about half. So August we paid a little bit more than half, I'm sorry. So the payback basically is going to be about 7, 8, 9 years. And then next year so it's $10,000 up front, and then next year, because there's a 30% federal tax credit that we'll be eligible to be able to take as well. So what it worked out as kind of a good test case or starter, and we're gonna do it again this year. And
so in a sense, Madam Chair, you're proving the technology, trying to figure out the cost. What is the long-term goal to make it economically viable for many across the county?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So right now, look, you got to be able to come up with $10,000 to be bankable, and I'd like to be able to figure out how. And we're talking to economic development to see if are there ways that we can make this even more affordable, than what it is. And I should say, so solar panels last about 30 years, right? So you're getting electricity from them they're guaranteed for 25. They last for about 30, to be honest with you, and so the payback, basically after year 8 maybe, then basically you're just getting free electricity. So we're financing off the 10,000 over, I think it's a 10-year contract, but basically we're positive after year 8. But to get there, right? So you need some assistance I know that we're trying to figure out how to make that more available for folks who aren't middle income, upper middle income, so more available to people.
Okay, so you're looking to do another set of 40 houses? Is that
I'd like to do more than that, yeah. So Yeah, so it'll be, I think we're going to kick it off in November, and it'll last, the co-op, probably like a 5-month co-op where we'll go out and explain it, try to get people to sign up. We have these information sessions set up, and then, try to get people on board. And then the co-op, basically, it's group buying. So what it does is it helps reduce the cost by about 20%. So if you just went out on your own and bought solar panels, going through the co-op will save you about 20%. Plus, there's kind of a cadre of people who are doing this, right? So there's an email listserv, and people email back and forth and brag about how much electricity they saved versus someone else. Trash talking of solar, rooftop solar people. So.
And Madam Chair, the company that's actually making the solar panels, who is that?
So the company who we're hiring to help run the co-op is a nonprofit called Ohio Sun, and they do this nationally. Last year they did it for free because they got foundation funding from a national nonprofit. This year we're going to procure them to help us run the program. So it'll probably cost us maybe $25,000, and we'll come to you for through the regular ways to procure stuff to vet that. But what they do is they do information sessions. They explain it very well. It's a great information session if you're interested in solar. And then they put together, there's a kind of people self-select into a kind of an RFP group. So people will, maybe 100 people sign up and 15 are really interested in trying to figure out how to procure this stuff well. So there will be a group that sits down, and Ohio Sun helps do an RFP from the group. They send it out to all the local solar installers. Solar installers come back with bids, and then the group then decides who the solar installers are. Last year was 2 Ohio-based installers. One was Yellow Light and Third Sun. But make it open to everybody who's interested in doing it.
Okay. And I always throw out to you, not only solar panels on homes, I love to see a solar panel on a car. You keep it cool in the summer and try to save lives. So I don't know if that's in the offing at any point, but sure like to keep that idea out there.
Well, as technology expands, especially around electric vehicles, it's something that potentially is out there. It's a lot of the car manufacturers are announcing that they're going to all electric vehicles. Volvo just announced that they're going to be starting in 2019 just doing electric vehicles. Ford and GM just made announcements that they're going to expand their offerings. So I think that's hopefully part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Brown?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just curious of the selection process. Was there an application for the installation of the solar panels? How were the 40 homes selected?
Self-selection. So people who were interested, so we had over 200 people, we went out and did presentations to folks. We did, I think, eight or 9 different presentations throughout the county. We sent emails out and flyered, and people went to information sessions, then they signed up on the webpage, and 200 people signed up, and then about 40 actually followed through all the way and went through and installed solar panels. So what'll happen is once you can get information from, so you can sign up to just be on the listserv and be in the co-op. You'll get an email from Ohio Sun that will do a quick analysis of your rooftop, saying, "Hey, your roof, it's got great southerly facing roof, no trees around there. We think you can put 4 megawatts worth of solar up there and roughly cost this." And if someone says, "Boy, that's cool, that's interesting, I'm interested, I'm going to move forward," then they can kind of sign up again, and then an installer, after they do the RFP process and decide who the installers will be, the installer will come out and do a more thorough analysis, and they put this funny machine up on your rooftop, and it measures kind of where the sun's going to be coming, and then you don't sign up. I mean, no one's forced to sign up, obviously. But after that process happens, then you make the decision as a homeowner: do I want to sign up, or do I want to not sign up?
So does this supplement your electricity, or does it replace your?
Yeah, our house, and for most, just because of the way utility laws work in Ohio, you're probably not going to produce more than 100% of your power. So for our house, it's producing maybe a little bit more than 50% of our power. So we're getting 50% from the solar panel, 50% off the grid. And so basically it reduces, and so to the utility company, what it looks like is that my bill instead of being, $100 a month is actually $50 a month because it looks to them like I'm just using less electricity.
Okay, thank you.
So we went to my district and had an informational, so I hope this year both of you can go to your district and have, for residents to come and they'll flyer and get everybody there. It's great. So in terms of the battery-powered cars, are we planning on, I think we have capacity to plug in at the HPG garage?
We've got so the infrastructure is there to put a charging station in. We haven't put a charging station in. In terms of electric vehicle infrastructure, that's something that I think it's coming down the pike. The nice thing is that because of Volkswagen screwed up a couple years ago and they cheated on their emission tests, they owe the state of Ohio $75 million. There was this national Volkswagen settlement process. And out of that, Ohio is going to get $75 million out of it. And a slice of that is just going to go to electric vehicle infrastructure. And Cuyahoga County is one of the impacted areas in the state that has higher, pollution factors. So we're kind of primed to be able to take advantage of this settlement, and we think we will. Earth Day Coalition is really kind of on top of this, and they've got a task force that we're helping out with, but they've got a task force of all kind of the major players in the county thinking about infrastructure, because that's the thing people need is infrastructure. So the rules from the state of Ohio are supposed to be written by the end of the year on how to take it, pull down this money or draw down this money, and we think we're primed to be in a good position to take advantage of that and put it in the Huntington Park garage, putting it in other places that make sense. I'm sorry, I'm just running through these things we've worked on in the last couple of years. So we put together this pretty cool toolkit with Green City Blue Lakes, a sustainability toolkit, just kind of best practices and people who've done best practices throughout the county. It's something we think we need to refresh and update. We did this in 2016, but it's a good kind of document, a 35, 40-page document that just kind of goes through air quality issues, land use planning, kind of good kind of environmental sustainability matters. We helped with we had created this clean energy finance hub, and so we helped a couple cities do upgrades to their infrastructure. So Highland Hills we helped them with a $750,000 loan for their roof replacement and made it as green as possible. And City of Cleveland Heights, we did about $6 million worth of upgrades, helped them with about $6 million worth of upgrades. We helped develop this kind of structure for the offshore wind and that landfill solar project we're working on. So it's complicated, and we're still working through some final details. But it will bring in the electricity from the 6 wind turbines out in Lake Erie and 30,000 solar panels that are going to be in a landfill in Brooklyn are going to be running through Cleveland Public Power lines into our buildings virtually, kind of theoretically. And then we just helped with Cleveland is interesting. There's this concept about microgrids. I don't know if you know what those are, but so if the electricity grid goes down, like it's gone down in Puerto Rico or Florida or Miami or other places, that there's a section of the larger grid that can stay up because it's got local generation sources that can keep it up and local controls to keep it up. So we were able to draw down $200,000 from the Cleveland Foundation, together with Case Western, CSU, City of Cleveland, to start a study on whether we could develop a microgrid in probably downtown Cleveland to start off with, that basically if the rest of the grid goes down, we'll stay up. And it's interesting because I think we can do it because we've got infrastructure here already through Cleveland Public Power, has capacity on a lot of their lines and their underground lines. And Cleveland Thermal, which is the district heat and cooling system, which is located downtown, has moved. They've got a new gas-fired power generation system, and they're going to build a combined heat and power facility on top of that, which basically takes the excess heat coming off the system and turns that into electricity. So they've got a permit to go up to 50 megawatts worth of electricity, which is a lot, that you could power through Cleveland Public Power lines and sign up customers basically to get really resilient power and and also steady power. One of the problems with especially like data companies and, firms that need, have a lot of, kind of computer tech folks is that, they want high quality electricity, which you never think of very much, but microgrids provide but very high quality electricity. So you don't have this kind of curve of electricity going up and down. You don't have the, flickering of lights, things like that. So it's kind of this interesting concept. So we're trying to use this, we're trying to make, we think we can do this economically, affordably, using clean power and using the existing infrastructure, and also and use it as a kind of an economic development tool, hopefully to both keep groups here that want that, but also potentially bring groups in as well. So that's just 2.5 years we've been around. I think I think, as I say, I think we've worked hard. And I think we're trying to think through. Kind of when we came here, we were the first iteration of the department, and we tried to kind of think through what we thought was logical for us to work on. But I think Councilman Miller's legislation has been very helpful to help us think through. All right, you guys have been here for 2.5 years now. What's the plan? What's moving forward? What should you be doing? And so I think that legislation was helpful for us. So we, over the last 5 or 6 months, 7 or 8 months, we've been meeting with different individuals, different groups. We had a couple large group meetings just to think about what should the County Department of Sustainability be doing? What should the county be doing in terms of sustainability? So in pages 9 to 16 of your, I think of your outline, is the proposed plan, strategy, strategy. And so I can walk through it quickly, if that's okay. So one is, we think that greenhouse gas emissions is climate change is a big deal, right? And that the federal government especially is kind of stepping back in terms of trying to address it, and local governments need to step up and work on this. So one of the things, our first strategy is work collaboratively with our partners to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the geographic confines of Cuyahoga County. We've got a proposal in right now to the Gun Foundation to help us develop a climate change action plan. Part of that will be to actually measure how many, the amount of emissions that come out of the county, where their sources are, geographically, how they're kind of where they're coming from, and then help us think through both kind of goals and strategies on reducing emissions from the county. 2 is increase resources for clean energy and environmentally sustainable programs, projects, and practices in Cuyahoga County. So when we first came in, we developed this clean energy finance hub, and it was successful to a degree. I think I think we could say that it helped probably with $15-20 million worth of projects, including the work that we worked on. But I don't know that we ever figured out the secret sauce on this, and so I think we want to. I think we need to kind of regroup and think about how do we really help with incentivizing, financing, maybe it's subsidizing abilities for people to do both energy conservation measures and renewable energy projects on their structures. 3 is increase access to alternative methods of transportation for residents and visitors to Cuyahoga County. So obviously we've helped in the UH bikes and the bike sharing, but and we're not going to solve this ourselves. As all the transportation issues. The state of Ohio is, I think, 49th in terms of state funding for transportation in the country. I mean, we're just woefully inadequately funded. But I do think that the county and the department should be working, helping, kind of the greater community think about what are the ways that we need to, to increase alternative and cleaner ways to get ourselves around both the work and home and play. 4, increase community awareness, knowledge, and advocacy regarding environmental issues, policies, initiatives. So, part of this is just, we should be speaking out as a department and as a county on things that we think detrimentally affect the county, and the climate and the environment. We've done that in terms of the the Cuyahoga River dredging issue. Yesterday, Stephanie was down in Columbus. There's an issue around net metering, and so, and it's an electricity-related issue, but if we can expand the ability to do net metering, then it makes it easier for us to do kind of larger projects like we're doing out in Brooklyn. So thinking about things that affect our environmental footprint and, in the county specifically, we should be talking about. 5 is convene and collaborate with partners to advocate for improvements to water quality for Cuyahoga County residents. So, look, we're on the Great Lakes, we've got this great watershed, and, we should be working to help make and maintain it and keep it as clean as possible and advocate for our, we've got a freshwater advantage in Cleveland and Cuyahoga County that a lot of places that, would kill for. So the Southwest, the West, they don't have water, the Southeast, they get a ton of water dumped on them all at once, right? So we've got a steady stream of good, clean water, and how do we maintain it?
It's not so clean.
Well, it's fresh water, I should say that, right? Right, and we've got plastic contaminants and all throughout our water, right, that we should be thinking about. 6 is demonstrate the county's leadership in environmental stewardship by increasing the utilization of sustainable green practices. So it's one of the things when Chanel and I first started, we started doing some meetings. We did brown bag lunches on, bike safety and composting and just kind of the solar co-op. We had a couple meetings just with the county employees, offered it to county employees around solar. But I think it's something that we, and I think Stephanie and David are going to be helping out with this, is just trying to, look, we've got a population of 8,000 people who work for the county, and we need to both, educate folks and make them as smart as possible about kind of sustainability matters, but also take their knowledge and think about our own structures and our own processes in the county itself and kind of make ourselves smarter and more efficient and effective around sustainability matters. So that's one of the things we really want to kind of ramp up in the next couple years. And then lastly is just kind of enhance land use practices to spur greater clean energy development, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and positively impact local air quality. So, this microgrid is part of that. Landfills, as I've said before, we've got about 75 closed and capped landfills. There's nothing else you can do with a landfill, ironically, other than put solar panels on it so you can generate clean energy out of it. You're not allowed to break the cap, and so it's a way to develop landfills for positive uses. So work with kind of, the groups who are thinking about land use practices, enhanced bike lane, more paths for bikes, more bike lanes in the county. Help. There's a lot of groups who are working on that. We're not going to take the lead on that, but we can be helpful. So I think that is it. I think this is, we've vetted this out with a lot of people. We think it makes sense. It's logical. It pushes us, right? So, hopefully we're not just sitting around twiddling our thumbs. There's work here to do. It pushes the county, I think, especially because I think a lot of this is going to take resources and money. And one of the things that, I think that is, if we're going to be serious about this, both the county and the community at large, there's got to be resources available for this stuff. And so I think we have to think through how do we develop resources to get a lot of this stuff done. But for the most part, I think it's a logical plan to move forward. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you so much, colleagues. Jones?
Yes. You mentioned landfills. Solar panels are pretty much the only use for a landfill. How many landfills are in Cuyahoga County?
So we've got a map. There's 70, between 75 and 80 that are closed and capped. So it's the old, town dump in a lot of respects. Some big companies had stuff where they just, had their own landfills, and they're shut down now. So we don't have any operating landfills in the county. So as far as I don't think we do. And so all of our trash goes out of county basically. So but we've still got this land that is, Brooklyn's got 77 acres of a capped landfill, and you can't do anything else with it, right? So,
what is the average size of a landfill?
Oh, I mean, Brooklyn is on the big side. It really is. Yeah. So I'm thinking 30 or 40 acres maybe.
Okay.
And some are much smaller than that. I mean,
Okay. Thank you.
So I have thank you. Thank you for all your work you've done to invent and, create this department. It's really interesting, and I think there's so much material for you to work with and capitalize on the trend, and we have to be leaders up here in Northeast Ohio considering what's happening, nationally. But look, here in our building, I think we're deficient in recycling. I mean, that's a mundane issue, and it's surprising that that was a small, low-hanging fruit goal to so I think all we recycle here in the building is plastic bottles, or not even, or cans.
Paper and
Paper.
cans and bottles. So, but I mean, and part of it is just kind of a function of the recycling market. So the recyclers are not taking a lot of stuff that they used to be taking.
Right. So what are we down to? Basically, well, that's pretty
Yeah.
much it, I guess.
Yeah, and so you're right. So it's something I think we need to get a better handle on, and
Okay.
we're going to actually we've got to set up a meeting with Public Works and the facilities folks just to think about not just our buildings but all the buildings. You know, are people trained well enough? Are there enough notices and signs? And I don't think there are. And I think it's something we need to work on.
Okay. And then lastly, with regard to green natural space, which I think is vital to a climate action plan, and to see where the spots, we have the green plan from the county planning. Is that someplace in your plan where you would find that an important strategy initiative?
Yeah, so it's in the 7 enhanced land use practices, and if it's not spelled out well enough, then we should. But yeah, so you know, county planning has done a great job with both the green print and also kind of leading the charge on this trails initiative in the county.
I'd like to see, if I can, this talks about usable green space. You know, we can't use every green space. I mean, I'd like to see if we can, I don't know if this can be added, but natural passive space. I don't think humans need to be trampling over every last shred of green space, in my humble opinion.
Are you un-American? I'm joking.
No, I want to make America great again, Mike. That's why we have to value our land
That's right, I agree.
and our national parks and our state parks and our metro parks,
That's right.
and coexist with nature. Thank you. Okay, any more questions? All right.
Okay, thank you, appreciate
Okay,
it.
so you can maybe add something to
Yeah.
this, and then it will come back as an amendment, and we will bring it back to the council meeting, and then hear it all 3 readings, right?
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
yeah, so I'll draft some language and send it up to you.
Okay.
That's okay. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, Madam Clerk, got a couple pieces relating to green space. You want to read the 2 of them? Does that make sense, Allison, to read both? And then I'll have both come up to the mic. Thanks.
Resolution number 2017-0170, supporting an application for funding under the Clean Ohio Fund Green Space Conservation Program, available through the Ohio Public Works Commission on behalf of West Creek Conservancy. And resolution number 2017-0171, supporting an application for funding on behalf of the City of Brook Park for conservation of ecologically significant areas in the Abram Creek Citywide Greenway Trail.
Hi, Allison.
Hi. Great. Thank you, Chairwoman Simon, as well as the committee members, for your consideration of the resolutions in support of the Clean Ohio grant applications. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Allison Ball. I work for county planning, and I'm the liaison to the district for Ohio Public Works Commission. The Clean Ohio Green Space Conservation Program helps to fund preservation of open spaces, sensitive ecological areas, and stream corridors. The applications for the program aren't due until October 20th. These resolutions of support are a statutory requirement as determined by the Ohio Revised Code. So this is really support of the application. for these members behind me. The applications will be evaluated and scored by the Cuyahoga County, which is District 1 Natural Resources Assistance Council, in November through February. Projects that do not have their appropriate recommendations will not be eligible for evaluation. The final project rankings and recommendations will be announced in March, and the Clean Ohio Conservation Program has made a significant impact in Cuyahoga County. As the applications are due on October 20th and the resolutions of support are required attachment to the application, I respectfully request that the committee recommend that these resolutions be adopted under suspension of rules at the second table reading.
Thank you. So do you want to go through West Creek first? How do you want to proceed?
Sure. The West Creek resolution is our 2017-0170, and Derek Schaefer is here from the West Creek Conservancy to discuss that and answer any questions.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Derek Schaefer with West Creek Conservancy. So thank you for your consideration. Our application is inclusive of the acquisition of approximately 50 acres of land within the city of Parma and Brooklyn Heights. And that's a lot of urban green space within some very densely populated communities. The 6 properties within the application are an assemblage of purchase and donation, both conservation easement and fee. There's a little over 1.5 miles of stream combined on all the properties, and the rest of it is woodland, wetland, riparian corridor. And what's most pivotal in our application is we've used the Clean Ohio program for the last 11 rounds, and this is round 12, and we really hope there's a round 13, but it's helped us assemble West Creek Reservation specifically within the city of Parma, which became the 16th reservation that we handed off to Cleveland Metro Parks in '06. And 3 of the properties in this application are specifically important to us to tie up the last large linkages in our Greenway plan, which will help the Greenway or the reservation extend east to the towpath and north to Brooklyn Heights Park. So our total project cost is, I think it's about up to about 1.4 million, and our Clean Ohio request would be just a little over $1 million. And that's about it.
Okay, good job. Do you have any questions? Okay.
Welcome back. I remember going over these. We had a lot more last year, so welcome back. I guess my only question is, once you are granted the funding, is it an acquisition or is it a what do you do? What exactly happens with the funding once you get it?
Our application is specifically for acquisition of fee simple interest in 3 of the properties, and 3 of the properties are easement donations. So our organization, West Creek Conservancy, will hold them in fee and or conservation easement, so they're protected in perpetuity and fully accessible to the public. And we basically steward them until we integrate them into our lease with Cleveland Metro Parks. So it's a kind of a mosaic of acquisition and fee and conservation easement.
Once you get it, you make sure that big developers don't try to come in there and make it,
Absolutely. We remove the threat of development firsthand, and then we steward it. Some of the properties that we've acquired have structures on them or other restoration potential. So we do take that next step. Once we've acquired, we restore it, connect it, and then it gets integrated into a larger greenway plan. And some of it is just passive green space. So a couple of these properties, they will just be not touched at all. But the 2 main ones in the application are just these linchpin properties in the entirety of the 9-mile West Creek Greenway.
Gotcha. And you indicated that you're looking for hopefully a round 13. With the 12th, this being the 12th round, and if there were a 13th round, how many parcels or what does the future hold as far as potential acquisition as it relates to this, as it relates to West Creek?
I'd say for the West Creek Greenway specifically, I have at least 9 other properties that are ideal to have. But for round 13, because we do this around the county, I've already gotten 6 requests for next year. So we really hope that they come to fruition, because we've helped with projects like Irishtown Bend or Millstream Reservation, the Heron Rookery, Big Creek, Mill Creek, Tinkers Creek, wherever we can help acquire. And I will say a lot of those have been just passive green space, but West Creek specifically, there's a good 9 ideal ones. And then there's, because we have properties kind of scattered throughout the Greenway. And these we've kind of picked up as opportunity arises, as sellers become less, more willing to sell or more willing to donate. Sometimes we just kind of wait them out. And then we kind of put them all together. We line up the puzzle for Cleveland Metro Parks in West Creek. That's kind of been our role, is we've assembled 90-some different parcels of land within Parma, Brooklyn Heights, Seven Hills, and Independence. And it's this, consider it like a little mini emerald necklace. So you can connect West Creek over to the towpath, north to Independence, and actually east to Independence. So these properties are just such a little pin in the whole Greenway.
Thank you. And I understand that what stands out with these applications is how well the groups work together.
Yes.
To help each other out. If there's more of a need one place, I understand the collegiality that you demonstrate, absolutely, and as well as the other groups, to really identify priority areas and how to come together to maximize opportunity at the state with this
Absolutely.
grant. So we watch and appreciate all that.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Competitive for a good reason.
Okay, so with this particular one, I'm gonna, if there's no more questions, make a motion to move this to the next council meeting under suspension with recommendation of passage. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
All right.
Thank
you very much.
Derek. And if you can hang on for a minute before the meeting ends. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item we read into the record, this is City of Brook Park, Mr. Dolan, and
Mrs. Johnson?
again, thanks for coming.
No problem. So my name is Michelle Johnson. I'm with Environmental Design Group. We worked with the city to do a citywide, Brook Park citywide connectivity plan, trail, and greenway plan. The county was actively involved as a stakeholder, including giving input, coming to all the meetings, helping us shape the format of the plan. It's large because it's citywide, so we are going after phase 1, which connects the Abram Creek area, which is a very large stream and riparian corridor, into the Rocky River Reservation. So it basically connects a huge bulk of the Brook Park population straight into the Metro Parks, which right now, with it being riparian, there's some goat paths through there. But kind of going off of your notion of keeping things preserved versus accessible, education versus recreation versus natural, we want to really protect this riparian corridor so that people aren't walking in the more sensitive areas, and yet creating a trail through there in the appropriate areas, making sure that people can access and learn and experience while also protecting. The nice thing about this area, some of it is in City of Cleveland, and we are working with them to make sure that all this is collaborative. It's very close to the IX Center. So we also can start accessing south of the IX. There's a lot of woods. You wouldn't normally see it from the road. But we can start thinking about regional destinations once we start building off of phase 1 and really start thinking about how we connect not just to the Metro Parks, but into the IX system, as well as all the way through Brook Park. So phase 1, like I said, it's some conservation, a little bit of education just with being in that riparian area, as well as a trail connecting into the Metro Parks Rocky River Reservation is at $1.8 million. There's a bridge, that's why, as well as a culvert. So there are sections that are much, much simpler than that, but that's why it hasn't been done yet, as we really want to make that last push to absolutely connect into the Metro Parks. We don't want to just get just there. We want to cross that river. So that's where we are.
Any questions? Councilwoman Brown?
Just a point of clarification. So is yours acquisition and the use of your funds will be going for building the path more so?
Yeah, we
Okay.
have very, very little for acquisition. We are looking at 33,000 we're talking easements here, not entire parcels like would typically go into a West Creek program. So we just need little slivers here and there. The bulk of it is for the conservation and the trail. In the property acquisition line, before you put in contingencies and mobilization and things like that, we're just under $40,000 for acquisition. So that's a tiny part of the budget compared to the overall. Most of it is in public property. So we are working with City of Cleveland.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, without any questions, I'm going to make a motion to move Resolution 2017-0171 to the next full council meeting with recommendation of passage under suspension of rules. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so this will be on our next, both of these items will be on the agenda for the 10th. And if you want to come, but you don't have to, so, okay, this is it. So thanks a lot, and we'll let you know. And I did notice, Allison, that if you want to come up 1 second, that Councilwoman Brown brings up a good point. When we started this yearly resolution consideration, there was always like maybe half a dozen on here, and now I see there's only 2.
So this year is definitely a lighter year altogether. The metro parks, the park authorities are exempt from this resolution, so they will be submitting one. And if a city is submitting an application wholly within their municipal boundaries, they do not have to come through county council. This is all written up in the Ohio Revised Code, so it's not just something that we made up here for Cuyahoga County. It applies statewide to all the districts. But I think that we'll get 4 or 5 just from conversations I've had. I could be surprised by other applications coming in. But yes, these applications are very extensive, and because it is so competitive in Cuyahoga County, we expect everyone to have their appraisals if they're acquiring land acquisition, the resolutions, everything beforehand. So it's shovel ready, if you will, and ready to go. So it is a little prohibitive for, in the evolution of my role in this, in applying. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks. We really appreciate it, and we hope you come back to let us know what happens. So we'll call you back. Okay.
Oh, okay, great.
All right. So as a matter of business, thank you. I forgot to move Resolution 2017-0168, the Sustainability Plan, out of committee and to be heard for the full 3 readings at our council meetings. So I'm going to move that this move out of committee. Second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that will be on our council agenda for second reading. I don't have any miscellaneous business. Madam Clerk, do we have public comment?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, and the next time we're going to meet in this committee is October 18th at 3 o'clock, and we will be hearing news of backlash legislation. Okay? Okay, we're going to adjourn. Thanks so much. Bye.